So I did a video of Hillsborough football ground last weekend, and I'm a Sheffield Wednesday supporter, so I'll try not to be too biased when I'm doing the one at Bramall Lane today. So I'm actually on the Bramall Lane end of the football ground. This is where the away supporters came, and I had some good times on this end of the ground when it was a standing terrace. Used to love it on this end. We used to be able to stand underneath and actually make some noise so I could echo it out from underneath the stand itself. So it has been changed quite radically this end. It used to have a seating stand on top with a terracing beneath, and they've changed the way the seats are on the top, because it seems a lot bigger on the top now than when I used to come, and it's all seated at the bottom, as you can guess. But what they've done with Bramall Lane is they've filled all the corners in, and some of the corners have actually got additional seats on the inside, but most of this is probably office space, nothing to do with the football club, being rented out. And that's the big issue with Bramall Lane as well as Hillsborough now. There's actually the football club and there's a PLC. Now the PLC owns all the ground area, etc., the land, and then the football club earns its income from merchandise and the Premier League at the moment, but that won't be much longer. So Kevin McCabe split off football club from the PLC, and Derek Dooley was the chairman of the football club for a while. I did come in and talk to Derek back in about 2002 or something like that about the merger of Wednesday United. He was good enough to see me. He said at the time he didn't believe that there would be a merger in his lifetime, but he did think at that time that they would end up ground sharing, but that's never happened. So there was Poundland Prince who came into a partnership with Kevin McCabe, and I think he put £1 into the club and he got 50% of the actual football club, but he didn't get any of the assets around it. Kevin had put a firewall between that, and the same's now happened at Hillsborough. Chancery has actually cut off the football club from the land that Hillsborough stands on. That's a bad thing for Sheffield Wednesday in the future, and I think it's a bad thing for Sheffield United that the PLC split off from the football club. So like I said, I'm on the Bramall Lane end and I'll give you a tour around it. I don't know as much about Bramall Lane as I do Hillsborough. Looking down John Street there. But a lot of people probably don't realise this. Sheffield Wednesday played at Bramall Lane before Sheffield United. It actually was Yorkshire Cricket Ground. Yorkshire Cricket Club was formed in Sheffield at the Adelphi. So originally it was a cricket ground. I think it had one test here, one England test. I don't think the cricket players, especially the Lords, like playing in Sheffield, because they used to get a lot of abuse from the local Sheffield people, calling a spade a spade. I think it was about 1975-ish they built a stand down the fourth side at Bramall Lane for the first time, because it was only a three-seater stadium up to the 1970s. Used to have the big cricket pavilion, and then they built their Cherry Street stand, which is their cantilever version, just like the North Stand at Hillsborough. But it's a compact ground, Bramall Lane. It doesn't look very big inside anymore. It seems to have shrunk. Hillsborough holds about 43 and Bramall Lane holds about 33, 35. But Hillsborough hasn't got all the corners filled in so much spare capacity to develop the existing ground at Hillsborough without even building extra stands. Now there was talk about doubling, I think, the capacity on the Cop at Bramall Lane and putting a twin decker in it, or either that or the cantilever here, and I think that's got canned. I mean, there's no chance of that now. They're not in the Premier Division. But I think one move United did before Wednesday was to actually put electronic turnstiles in. I'm not sure what the arrangement is at Hillsborough anymore, because I stopped going in 2005. I think the game of football has been ruined by money, mercenary footballers and chairmen of football clubs. I think this is the hotel now we're coming to. We'll get a better view of it when we walk around the side of the ground. One thing around Bramall Lane, there are some pubs, which is better than be said for Hillsborough. So I had to run across there. It's a really busy road, but there's the Railway Hotel on Bramall Lane. See another view of the actual hotel. I think it's something like the Copley Hotel or something, but we'll find out in a minute. Now this is a big plus on Bramall Lane. There's a lot more area for development around the ground than Hillsborough. You can see the hotel. So we're on Cherry Street now. Far more room to develop around Bramall Lane, because with them having originally the cricket ground here, that left a lot of vacant land. You'll see a sign there. Bramall Lane stages the first ever floodlit game of football in 1878. Like I said, Wednesday played at Bramall Lane before United. I think they got kicked off because at the time they were damaging the cricket pitch, and I think the lords that who owned Yorkshire Cricket Club probably decided in the end that they would actually have a football club because they could make some money out of it. Wednesday moved just up the road to Olive Grove, which isn't far from here, and they lasted there about 10 years. There was a vote at the time whether they moved to Carlbrook or Hillsborough. The fans chose Carlbrook, but the directors went to Hillsborough. Now when you look at Bramall Lane, it's so close to the actual city centre. It's about 5 minutes walk away at the most from the city centre, whereas Hillsborough, you've got about 20-30 minute walk from the centre of the football ground. So I always think Hillsborough's probably been in the wrong place. So much more convenient with Bramall Lane. I can't see what the name of the hotel is, but I think it's the Copley Hotel anyway. So we're on the Cherry Street there, cantilever, a little bit smaller than the one at Hillsborough. Hillsborough one held 10,000 before it was reduced in capacity. The one at Bramall Lane, I think it only holds about 8 or 9,000, even before there was any restrictions. So I don't know what's going off at Bramall Lane today. There's an awful lot of people around. I thought they were actually playing at Leeds today, but it might be elsewhere. Alright then, so here we have it, 1973. Bramall Lane hosts its last game of cricket on August the 7th between Yorkshire and Lancashire. I think it was a tragic mistake. I mean, the game, Yorkshire Cricket Club was formed in Sheffield at the Adelphi Hotel where the Crucible is, and we've lost cricket to Leeds. Now, I'm quite happy to share Yorkshire Cricket Club around Yorkshire, but the development was all happening at Headingley, and I think there should have been far more development happening at Bramall Lane. I love Scarborough Cricket Ground because I used to stay in a hotel next to there. So I don't know what's going off at Bramall Lane today. I mean, we're supposed to be just coming out of a lockdown, and it's extremely busy. So you can see the cantilever, but it's not half as impressive as the one at Hillsborough. Now coming down onto Shoreham Street. But you get an idea how much development land is around Bramall Lane. One bit of the actual pavilion would have been behind the stand we've just seen. And there was still plenty of room for car parking. Look at this, dirty people. And all I can say, they're sheep droppings, because the guy who's president of the Royal Society of Surgeons has made it quite clear that they actually dropped mass in surgery about 20 years ago, because they did a survey and found out that there were fewer infections when they didn't actually wear masks when they were operating on people. It was 0.005% less, and that was over a 6-month period. You know, thousands of operations, and there was actually a drop in post-operation infections. But the thing is, they were putting masks on in a clean surgical environment where they were taking them out of a bag. They've washed the faces and things like that, whereas the general population are getting them out of the pockets or off the dashboards. So the masks are actually spreading infection, doing exactly the reverse, and that's what the guy says, president of the... So you can see there, Scarborough Group International. I don't know if it's still owned by Kevin McCabe. I'm going to assume it is. They're doing more development on the football ground. Like I said, it's just so much land around here to develop, so much more potential than Hillsborough. I mean, like I said, I think Wednesday need to move out, develop the ground better, whereas United, they're in a perfect spot here, but the problem is they've lost the land to McCabe. So this isn't revenue for Sheffield United Football Club, it's revenue for Kevin McCabe or Scarborough Group International. Kevin, I think, now lives in Brussels in the European Union. Now, the Cherry Street stand, their cantilever, was built about 1975. Last game of cricket was 73. Now, I remember going to watch Tony Curry. It's the only, back in the 70s when I was a kid, and I was stood on that cricket end, on the pavilion end, well, just on the little bit of terracing round there. Now, the Bramall Lane Cop was completely rebuilt when they actually put seats in it, whereas the one at Hillsborough, they redeveloped it for standing, and then they put seats on top of it, whereas the Bramall Lane one, theirs was completely redeveloped, and you can actually put stuff underneath it and have more facilities, and you can see the amount of room behind it compared with the one at Hillsborough on the other video. So this is Shoreham Street. Their Cop, oh, what's it held? About 12,000. Same again, I don't think it's as big as the one at Hillsborough. They make it rock a little bit though. They hate Wednesday. They're even worse, I think, than Wednesday supporters in wanting to see the other side lose. I've got to admit, I look for United losing before Wednesday win, and I'm absolutely sure they'd take beating Wednesday and not getting promoted. Whereas I'm quite happy to lose to United and get promoted. So you can see the amount of development land around, even around the back of the cop at Bramall Lane, whereas at Hillsborough there's very little room around the back of it. But I'm going to state what I said on the other video. I think it would be better for a merger between Wednesday and United, a single football club, for everybody to get behind, because I don't give a jot about the actual rivalry between Wednesday and United. I'm more concerned about beating Manchester United and Liverpool, because I see myself as a Sheffielder above a Wednesday supporter. See the area we're in, it's not as nice an area as Hillsborough as a residential area. Hillsborough's quite a nice residential area. This is a lot more run down than Hillsborough. I'll show you there and down there. But Hillsborough's quite a tidy area with a park and everything around it. So he's got his signs plastered all over. Scarborough Group International, Shoreham Street, takes you back into the city there. Like I said, we're only 5 minutes from the bottom of the moor at the most. Now moving on to John Street. Just show you a little bit more about it around the ground. As you can see, look at the development land here. We're not even anywhere near the cop here. Like I said, one of the good things at Bramall Lane is they fill the corners in, and you don't half allow them to get behind the team, because the noise goes straight into the football ground. And I used to come to breakfast club meetings in the John Street. I didn't realise what the stand looked like on the other side. Probably 2 or 3 years I was coming to breakfast meetings at Bramall Lane, and their facilities were quite good. But I always made sure I wore my Wednesday tie with my suit when I came. As you can see, look at one end of the wall to about there, and look, that's the amount of development room behind the Bramall Lane cop, which they're going to get as much development land out of it as they can. The group that owns the land, the PLC. It's quite unbelievable though. I mean, if we were in the middle of the pandemic, how can a football be an essential business? The only reason it's essential is they want to keep people dumbed down. I mean, I went to football non-stop for 20 years at Hillsborough, and then I just gave up on it, and but a lot of people, it's their life and joy, and that's all they see. So I'm told there's some youth cup or something going off, because I've just been speaking to people, and I just said to them, how can this be an essential activity during a pandemic? Like I said, I know where it is. It's basically while you dumb people down, so they're watching the football every week. They're not going to riot, are they? It's quite obvious. So this is the main reception for the football round. I just mentioned to them lads about Wednesday United merging. They said we're both as crap as each other, but we should be both in Premier Division. I said that's not going to happen. We're just not going to get the investment with two football clubs. We're not being lucky with the foreign ownership like some of the football clubs like Manchester City, who've really reaped it, and Chelsea. Sheffield's been extremely unlucky. Chance here, I won't let him run a tuck shop. It's completely a waste of money, and that was a massive mistake to buy Rhodes for 10 million quid or whatever they paid for him. That was a time, if they'd have bought the right player at that time, Wednesday would have been promoted and in the Premier Division. And I think they wasted it on Rhodes, wasted it on somebody who'd finished. So you can see we're right back at the start. It did take quite a bit longer, I think, to do a walk round Bramall Lane than Hillsborough. So it's not a very big stand. The John Street stand looks quite big on the outside, but when you get on the inside of the ground, it probably only holds about 5,000. You've got, like I said, about 12,000 on the court. That's about 17. About 8,000 in the Cherry Street stand, and then probably about 8,000 on the away end. So that's a quick tour around Bramall Lane. I hope I didn't upset the United supporters too much. Anyway, speak to you again in the future. Bye.